Turn the match on, check the odds, place your bets. You could turn a flutter into a fortune. There's no harm in trying, right?
I'm the mother of Kimberly Rebecca Wadsworth, who sadly took her life as a gambling addict. She was very troubled with everything and hounded by the gambling industry. It was just too much for her.
For fans across the world, gambling and football have become one and the same. In recent years, betting has turned from a sideshow to the main event. Endless, shiny, footballer-endorsed adverts. Gambling on football is not new, but it's changing fast.
Not only are you betting on the outcome of a match, you could be betting on events that take place during the match. Who's going to get the next corner? Who's going to score the next goal? All of a sudden, betting on football starts to look a lot more like casino or slot machine play because you have these opportunities to bet constantly.
There are few places where gambling has a firmer foothold than in England. Watch any Premier League match and you are bombarded by adverts for bookies. On advertising hoardings, shirts, shirt sleeves, stadiums, and press conferences. It's a similar story in the rest of Europe, as well as Australia, South America, and Asia. But what's actually the problem here? Gambling is legal, most people don't get addicted, so why should we care? Well, the sports betting industry is worth $100 billion annually. Many clubs rely on it for financial support. There are hundreds of thousands of children addicted to gambling, and there are thousands of gambling-related suicides every year. These are just some of the ways in which gambling is poisoning football.
Gambling is an activity that people can do, and I have no issue with people doing it in a safe way if they can. But the problem is when it's advertised in such a way and it is in people's faces, for me that's dangerous.
Chris Gillam lost everything to gambling. He takes part in walks across the UK with charity The Big Step. They aim to show the human cost of gambling advertising. For most of us, gambling ads are just annoying. The focus on corners and yellow cards over skills and goals turns a sport into a market. It's just another way in which money wins. But for people like Chris and their families, this is a matter of life and death.
To go from somebody who's trying to place a football bet to somebody who's sitting at their sister-in-law's house downstairs trying to win money to leave to their family with the plan of ending my life. I lost all my money that night and everything I could borrow. Fortunately, I found recovery that day, but it took me to the darkest place in the world.
Chris's story is not the norm, but neither is it unusual. Nevertheless, the Betting and Gaming Council, who represent about 90% of UK bookmakers, see no issue at all with the way things work. They told us that research has found no causal link between exposure to advertising and the development of problem gambling. They say betting advertising and sponsorship has to comply with strict guidelines and that messaging must be regularly and prominently displayed. Is it though? This ad for Britain's biggest bookmaker lasts 30 seconds. Just before the end, it spends less than 1 second saying,
"And we gamble responsibly at Bet365.
That's it. The use of "we" is also important here. Ads like this, from Germany, play on that sense of community that football specialises in. Have a bet, and you're part of the action, part of the tribe, part of the game. The industry has firmly embedded itself in English football, but plenty of UK bookmakers base themselves abroad in order to avoid paying tax that might actually help the people that they harm. Furthermore, many of the bookies who advertise with English clubs don't actually operate in the country. They're looking at markets abroad. Nearly all of the country's 92 clubs are sponsored by or linked to gambling companies. Currently 8 of the Premier League's 20 clubs wear gambling sponsors front and centre. Many more wear it on their sleeve or on their training kit. But it goes much deeper than that. Lower down the pyramid, plenty of clubs are reliant on gambling money. Check out this clip of Sunderland winning the League One playoff final. The EFL sponsor, Sky Bet, is in almost every shop we could find. It's pretty much the same in all of the 72 clubs outside of the Premier League. In 2017, 95% of adverts shown during matches were for gambling firms. But the Betting and Gaming Council say a lot has changed since then. The whistle-to-whistle ban has reduced TV ads watched by children during live sports before the watershed by 97%. This ban on gambling ads during a match applies only to TV and only at certain times. 14% of children between 11 and 16 spend their own money on gambling, and 1.7% are problem gamblers. But gambling firms don't make billions without being smart. Increasingly in the UK, bookmakers target podcasts, social media, or anywhere else where punters might be. Since October, adverts like these, with high-profile sports stars advertising gambling companies, are banned. But ex-players and managers can still do whatever they please. Let's recap, because progress has been made. There are fewer ads on TV and there are more rules around advertising. And, let's face it, gambling isn't the only legal activity that causes harms, but it can ruin lives quicker than almost anything else. The problem is huge. Here's the proof. 43% of the UK population gamble. That's about 23 million people. The percentage of problem gamblers may be just 0.3%, but that's still more than 68,000 people whose lives are at stake. What's more, bookies make more than 70% of their profits from 5% of their customers. But this is not just about money. Public Health England estimates that of those 68,000 people, 409 will commit suicide every year. In 2018, one of those was Kay Wadsworth's daughter, Kimberly.
I called her my Dr. Jekyll and Miss Hyde because she used to hide everything from me. And her whole personality changed. She was normally very bubbly, she was very loving, she was a beautiful girl and very funny. But it changed her character totally. I was aware of some of it, but not all of it. And I certainly didn't know the extent of how she would want to kill herself. I didn't know that bit.
Kay says her daughter was the target of so-called VIP schemes. They relentlessly target losing customers with bets and offers that will keep them coming back for more and more. The UK's Gambling Commission tried to cut down on these in 2021, and customers can now opt out. But it was too late for Kimberly and thousands of others.
You know, you lose a few £100, all of a sudden you get an email saying, would you like to join our VIP program? You get some perks. It could even be tickets to go and see football matches, right? I've seen this time and time again.
That's Rob Davis of The Guardian. He's broken several stories on the industry and written a book on the subject. He's not convinced that these new laws have ended the practice of targeting those who are losing big.
I mean, you call people VIPs when what you really mean is that someone's a muck, because they can be relied upon to lose large amounts of money. Now, there's a very small amount of people out there who can afford to do that, but not really minding because they can afford to do it and they like taking part. But actually, the vast majority of people cannot afford to lose large amounts of money on a regular basis.
Of course, most gamblers do lose. That's how it works. Is this really just a question of personal responsibility? But what about the clubs and the leagues? They rely on the kind of loyalties that just don't exist in any other business. This is what the gambling firms are exploiting. It's no longer about community, it's about cash. Remember the EFL and Sky Bet? Well, Rob found they were making money directly from their fans' losses through so-called affiliate deals. Profiting from fans using a sponsor isn't great. Profiting from fans' losses directly, that's a new low.
The first time I gambled was on football. I was actually 30 years old, I hadn't done it till then. And there was so much advertising around and seeing other people doing it, and I downloaded my first app. I started to just bet on things that I'd never thought I would, from one football bet to a place where it totally consumed my life. And I couldn't see a way out, to be honest.
The smartphone has revolutionised gambling. It's opened up markets that just weren't there before.
But if you're doing it on your phone, nobody has to know. And then it's about volume. You know, you could bet on Venezuelan under-23s football at 3 a.m. There is nothing to stop you other than the company that's taking your bet acting responsibly. And then there are two things that can go wrong there. One is they don't realise until it's too late. Or the other is they don't act when they should. And that has certainly been the case in previous years, right?
This has seen gambling firms in the UK make billions in profit year after year. But this is not just a UK problem. In the recent past, many of Europe's biggest clubs have worn gambling sponsors on their shirts. In some of these countries, gambling advertising is starting to be phased out. Spain has banned shirt sponsorship. In Italy, all advertising of gambling is banned, while Belgium and the Netherlands are following suit. In Germany, gambling sponsors on the front of shirts have become less common in recent years, but both Bundesliga champions Bayern Munich and the league itself have betting firm Tipico as a partner. There's a similar deal in place in France, and its top players are not shy of promotion. The grip of the gambling firms is so strong that some clubs say they can't survive without their cash. But these clubs survive for decades or centuries without gambling money. Isn't it just poor management? The first gambling shirt sponsorship in English football was just 20 years ago. Now, the crypto companies are joining the online bookies. It may look new, but it's really just the latest way to squeeze more money out of fans. But while gambling surrounds football, people will get addicted and people will die. Politicians have the ultimate power to act, but bookies surely have some responsibility too. Though advertising may not always be the direct cause, it certainly never helps. In the last 20 years, betting and bookmakers have infiltrated football in a way that's never been seen before. What are the odds? That's good for the game.